In March of 2021, three of us, myself, Rebecca Lindenbach, and Joanna Sawatsky, published the book The Great Sex Rescue, based on a groundbreaking survey of 20,000 predominantly evangelical women. We were able to identify key common evangelical teachings about sex that hurt women's marital and sexual satisfaction and cause libido to plummet and sexual pain to skyrocket. Beliefs like all men struggle with lust, a wife is obligated to give her husband sex when he wants it, or a wife should have frequent sex to keep her husband from watching porn. Our book also identified best-selling Christian books and resources that spread these messages. We thought authors would care that people were being hurt, but not a single person that we called out has publicly grappled with our findings. Instead, authors have doubled down and accused us of terrible things. The following accusations are taken from public statements by Shaunti Feldhahn and Focus on the Family, blog posts by Gary Thomas and Emerson Eggerichs, and some personal correspondence from others that we have called out.
When people hear our critiques of authors and organizations, they ask us, did you give them a chance to respond, or did you go to them privately? As if there's more that we could have done. So let me tell you what we have done and what the response has been. When we quote directly from authors, they say we are lying about what they said. When we share quotes from their books, they accuse us of attributing false statements to them, mischaracterizing them, and making assumptions. When we show how these quotes have done great harm, the authors say we are not wise or Christ-like. When we share what women reported in our focus groups, these teachers call us gaslighters. When we share what our research of 20,000 women found, we're told we have narcissistic arrogance and are harming women. When we ask them to grapple with our findings and we tell them we will answer any questions about our research that they may have, the authors instead ignore us or spread false claims that we did our research badly. When we call out authors for telling women to be the methadone for their husband's sex addictions, we're told we aren't submitting ourselves to God's word. When we plead with authors and organizations to care about the women in abusive marriages being battered by their teachings, we are told that it's actually just a doctrinal disagreement. When we highlight how these teachings damage women married to sexual sadists, we're accused of not actually fighting against domestic violence, but rather fighting against those who genuinely care about women. When we show how specific authors downplayed marital rape, blamed women for their husbands' sex addictions, and told women to sexually service their husbands even when they themselves were in great pain or medically suffering, we are told we engage in outrage marketing. We're told we are unkind or mean. When we beg authors to stop treating women like sexual objects, the authors accuse us of using calculated and cruel attacks. And when we say that male sexuality and the objectification of women are not one and the same thing, we're called self-righteous. They say we have an agenda where we pretend to help women, but we're really just drawing attention to ourselves. When we beg authors to care about women's sexual pain, we are told that pride has all but taken over our work, that we're turning as many people away from the truth as to it, and that our cup that we pour out of to teach has gotten so dirty that we don't even realize it. When we call out authors who use our work and our wording to make themselves sound safe, while they then teach unsafe things in the very next breath, we are called adversaries who make false charges both professionally and personally, choosing simply to make more money by making people angry. When we called out an author for advising women to become porn to defeat porn, he claimed that we're unhealthy, that we're demonically strategic and organized, that we are Satan's useful idiots who think that we're doing good and yet may be working for the other side. He said that we pushed him so hard that hating us was inevitable and that we're being used by Satan to attack good people, distracting them from what God wanted them to do. When we publicly stand up to plead the case of women who are suffering by speaking against those in power who are causing their pain, we are told we're not going about this in a kingdom way. So to them, all we have to say is this: If you believe we are not being Christ-like when we plead with you and the colleagues you defend to care about the woman gritting her teeth to get through the sex that you told her is her husband's right to take, when we beg you to listen to the stories of women treated as husband's sexual methadone, when we feel the need to shout to get you to show even a modicum of care for the people devastated by the teachings now proven statistically to do harm, perhaps we are not acting like the God that you serve. Perhaps we're not doing things in a kingdom way if the kingdom is one of prestige for you who hold power. But perhaps that is because our Christ is not the same as yours. The kingdom that you are working for is not the same as the kingdom we are fighting to realize on earth. We serve a Christ who reaches out and touches lepers, rather than casting them out of the city and declaring them unclean. We serve the Christ who topples religious power structures when they harm those most vulnerable. We serve the Christ who is more concerned with the well-being of his precious sheep than the reputation of the hired hands feeding them to the wolves. We serve a Christ who sees the suffering of the women he loves and weeps. The Christ we serve offers resurrection, redemption, rebirth. He is a Christ who, no matter our past, can redeem us and use us for his glory. He is the Christ who specializes in taking what was dead and decaying and bringing forth new life. We invite you to rediscover this Christ, to willingly put yourself through the pain and humiliation of Christ's death so that you can rejoice in his resurrection, the death of pride, the death of status, perhaps even the death of platform and wealth and fame. But we invite you into the resurrection. We invite you into redemption. No one is stopping you from doing the right thing. No one is waiting, hoping you will fall. We are waiting, hoping, pleading, and praying that you will remember your first love, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and join us. Join us in protecting his sheep, caring for his sheep, loving his sheep. That is the kingdom way.